Okay, welcome back to the channel. Another opinion-based video for you here. Reading through some articles through the week, I felt like I had to get my take on things because my take's so goddamn important. Kidding, it's not. But I had some interesting thoughts when it came to this. So I've read a few articles here. Number one here is England's critics blow my mind by Ellis Genge. Basically, in summary, not to ad-lib or whatever this terminology is to kind of summarize what he's talking about here, but Ellis Genge is saying it's very easy to criticize. People don't know what they're talking about when they're saying the coaches don't know what they're talking about. And, you know, to be honest with you, I would tend to agree here. I think there's a lot of outside noise for England that, you know, the tactics are wrong, they're bad, but they're winning games. And they played well in the autumn and they lost games. And I don't know, there's just this constant sense, I think, with England that no matter what they do, they can't get things right unless they beat someone by about 40 points, right? And what I would do is I would encourage you, if you're of an opinion that the coaching job by England was poor, I would go and I would look at Squidge's video on England versus Scotland. And if you watch this video, and I agree with the vast majority of the video, there's bits and pieces I don't agree with. I think there's some elements where I think he gives players a bit too much credit for just doing things in the moment, and he thinks that those things are planned. But on the basis, I'd say 88% of the video, I completely agree with what he's saying. You look at England's defensive plan, how it got exposed and then it adjusted, and how well it worked for the vast majority of the game. Like, that is elite coaching, right? That is elite coaching of a team. He's got elite coaching with the team. There's elite coaching with the team. They're making defensive adjustments that make them a great team. There was talk about this blitz defense, obviously, that they wanted to mirror a bit of what South Africa are doing in that defensive scheme. It takes time to warm into the system, and now that time has gone on with it coming in, it's really starting to come into its own. Bear in mind, I think there was at least 50 minutes between Scotland's second and third try. So that is a sign of a world-class team in that regard, you know. But then there's also the juxtaposition of, you know, players and coaches saying some of the attack is too risk-averse. Ben Youngs was mentioned in the Telegraph here, where he says Steve Borthwick is a risk-averse. England box kick too much, and I think, you know, I think there's a lot of things to say about the box kicking thing. Do I think it's too much? I would say it probably is a bit too much, especially for the Scotland game. But I think what you've got to understand about this attack, and I hope to see changes in the Italy game. I don't want to be defending something that can be improved, but there was an obvious game plan there to attack players under the high ball, right? Duhan van der Merwe's a big guy, but surprisingly, he's actually not that good under the high ball. You know, he's not good at taking balls, so that was the opportunity they were looking for. They also wanted to play with the ball in the areas of the pitch where they want to play with, right? I think a lot of people forget that both Steve Borthwick and Richard Wigglesworth, when they took Leicester from worst to first, in that 1 year they were both in the coaching staff, the Leicester attack was actually really good. But what they did is they took the opportunities when they got into the opposition half. The difference in the Scotland game is they really struggled to stay out of their own half for the vast majority of the game. And then the few occasions where they actually had attacking opportunities, they looked dangerous. They looked like they could score. I think, you know, I think there's some changes that can be made with regards to England's attack. And I think they need to be more willing to play with the ball, even in their own half, you know. They look dangerous against Scotland. The things that I've mentioned in about 3 videos here, but I'll mention it again. You know, they had forwards that they would take the ball short and they would just take the ball to set up for a better box kick. But every time they did that, they managed to get 5 or 10 metres. Someone needs to be a bit more heads up and say, we're going to go with this. We're going to try and run this for a few phases. But they didn't do that. They went for the box kicks because that was the game plan. So I don't want to say, like, there's no room for improvement. But, you know, when you look through comments and you look at the armchair fans and people that, to give them full credit, maybe a bit more casual, and they just look at it and they just go like, oh, it's just box kicking. Oh, it's just box kicking. Oh, you just kick into nothing. Man, sometimes I just don't feel like people really know what's going on the field, to be perfectly honest. What would I rate England's attack out of 10 against Scotland? 4, right? It's not good. Things need to change. What would I rate the defence? I give it a solid 9. Like, it was amazing, right? And, you know, I'll push the boat out here, right? England, and I believe in this coaching staff, I believe in Borthwick, I believe in these guys. You know, they got a lot of criticism for bringing in Joe Aled, basically saying, like, he's a French Division 2 rugby coach, what does he know? And the defence has gone from strength to strength. You don't hear a lot of that chat anymore. You know, I'm going to make a prediction here that England beat Italy, and they do it convincingly. And I think it's not necessarily a scoreline. I think it could be a tight game in the scoreboard, but I do think England score at least 20 points. Put that forward as a prediction. And I think the attack looks a lot better. I just think they would have done the analysis. They got 2 weeks to look at it, and they would have just thought, you know, there was opportunities to go here, to press the accelerator. The team's just come out as well. I've just seen that. A few changes have been made. I believe Daly is starting at fullback with Smith on the bench, which I don't mind, to be honest with you. I think Smith off the bench gives you a lot of options in terms of changing the pace of the game, changing the composure of it as well, rather than asking him to change position halfway through a game where he's probably a lot more tired. You get him fresh legs, so I don't mind that at all. Dingwall's in at the centres. I don't know whether that's because of an injury or not. I haven't done too much reading into it, but I do feel like Slade was maybe caught a little bit slow. But again, I implore you to watch Squidge's video on the Scotland game that England played against them, because you'd see that Slade actually did a hell of a good job defensively. But I can understand Dingwall being in there for a bit more attacking prowess. Jamie George also in there as well. So I would make my prediction right now. I think England beat them and they will score at least 20 points, and people will be quieting down in the media in terms of the attacking performance. And then you get, I don't know, you just get other ex-players and stuff jumping in saying, like, I'm not going to name names here, but saying, like, I don't believe in the quality of the coaching staff, and it's players that haven't been in the game for, like, 20 years, and it's just like, I don't know. You don't know. Come on, let's be real. So, anyway, that's it for me. Just a bit of an opinion piece. Don't write off this England team. I think it's understated how good their defensive performance was, even though they were probably lucky to beat Scotland. But look for them against Italy. I think they could set the world alight next Sunday. So, hold me to it. Hold me to my prediction. Anyway, that's it from me. I'll catch you in the next one.